All right, Namaste. Let us begin with the invocation. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Yes. Can someone recollect anything that we have seen last? Yes, please. We have to form the link. Yes, please. Om Prakash ji. Yes, sir. And then Kulkarni ji after Om Prakash ji. Yes, sir.
Actually, last time we started with that the karma leads to sacrifice to the yajna, then it forms the rains, and the rains, then we get the food from the rains. That is the cycle it has been described. The
Yes,
karma
sir.
is actually born out of Brahma only.
Okay.
Then Krishna also says that who doesn't believe in karma, his life is blessed. Actually.
Who does not believe in sacrifice more than believe is the perspective of a person who does not accept this need of sacrifice in such a life. That person's life goes waste because he follows all of his senses and desires only. They lead him astray. It's not like a curse that he's putting, but that is what the ultimate is point which Krishna is making. Yes, sir.
He also talks about, then he gives example of Janak Raja, as well as he gives example of himself also. I mean,
yes.
Krishna himself.
Yes.
Then lastly we talked. He talks about the divide. Don't
create a divide.
Divide. Have a middle path. That is what.
Yes, the same thing. Could you elaborate on a more practical life situation where it will be useful, Om Prakash ji? Na buddhi bhedam, not creating a divide. How can it be helpful?
Yes, it happens. That is what I have seen. Because many times what happens, suppose in a corporate world, if you take some project and if you want to get through, aligning everybody, you get the divergent views. Then you have to find a path which is more acceptable, because once the path is more acceptable, the project gets completed properly. That is what is the.
So the sutra can be Loka Sangraha, can become the sutra for everybody,
Sutra,
isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So when you're trying for the betterment of the world, that is one important point. Yes, Om Prakash, thank you very much. You have very wonderfully summarized. Kulkarni ji, would you like to add or share something? Yes, please. Hari Om Yogita ji, Hari Om Chitra ji, Hari Om Atul ji. Yes, Hari Om. Kulkarni ji, would you like to share something? Please unmute. Yes.
In one sentence, he is explaining the art of Naishkarmya to Arjuna.
Okay. Naishkarmya. Naishkarmya Siddhi. Okay. So we will not get trapped in karma bandhana. That is one very nice, simple thing. What Krishna has given example of. Look at Janaka Raja, meaning we don't have to just run away from the world. We are going to embrace the world and not get attached. It is not like about the monk who sells his Ferrari. It is about the monk in the Ferrari only, isn't it? We can also be in possession of material wealth without getting attached. Look at Janaka Raja. What did Janaka Raja do? Janaka, he aimed for the betterment of the world, of his entire Janaka Raja. It was a very beautiful and ideal world. And I think even in modern world, we see the same thing, isn't it? When the leader is completely detached, has no attachments, no familial attachments, no personal desires, no expectations for returns, then what happens? Such a person is very less likely to be corrupt. Such a person who has no other, what we can say, so many bandhanas, that person, it's not easy for anybody to, earlier it was very easy in some places. If the king only has so many vested interests, what happens then? Anybody can manipulate the king. It's something like that. In our life also, let us all seek to become like, as Krishna has told, like Janaka Raja, or Krishna gives his own example. But one thing interesting Krishna does while giving his own example, He says he also reveals what is his.
Hello.
Okay, Badrinathji wants to add something. Is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
Badrinathji?
Krishna says,
Yeah.
whether sun or rain, I perform
Yeah.
my duty. If I do not perform or if I do not follow the path of action, others will
Yes.
also follow and I will be responsible for the destruction of the world.
Yes,
Right.
yes, absolutely. Krishna indicates, yes. Now I'll just mute everybody. And if anybody wishes to raise something, you can raise your hands. You can share interaction also. You can click on the reaction also. So, as Krishna says, he says, if I don't follow the duties, then what is going to happen? Everybody will follow my path. And then everybody will go on a wrong path. Imagine a leader of an organization taking all the people on the wrong direction. What's going to happen then? Pralay only is going to take place. That organization is going to fail. As long as the followers are following, they will feel happy. But in the end, if the leader then jumps off the cliff, all the followers will become like default following him there only. Something like that. That is why Krishna is saying, remember the Janaka's example, remember my example, and understand this is the way of the world. No pain, no gain. Like that, no sacrifice, no evolution. Brahma has created the Srishti with the same way only. Look at the plants, Annat Bhavati Bhutani. How are the plants also growing? Because the rain is falling. But why is the rain falling? It is because of fire. Fire is leading to rain. Fire is what? Yajna. How is Yajna beginning? Yajna also has to be done only by karma. Meaning the symbolic action of Yajna also has a very important role of karma. Like that, everything in our life, karma is important. We cannot say we'll just ignore it. If we just try to say, no, I live only once. I have only one life. What should I do? I want to enjoy. But what is the enjoyment? That meaning you must first understand what is ananda and what is desire. Somebody says, I like soft drinks, and that person keeps taking aerated drinks. What's going to happen? It may go on for 1 month, maybe 2 months. Then what's going to happen? A lot of other side effects are there. So here we must recognize this. Krishna is saying it is very simple. Just remember to not get trapped in the entanglements, seek nothing in return, and keep doing your work. That's what Krishna is saying. Again, this is an ideal. Somebody who is selfish, you speak about selflessness to a selfish person, that person will say, this man is crazy or this woman is crazy. What are you talking about? We have to be selfish. So Krishna says, don't worry about changing the mindset. Na buddhi bhedam. The last shloka which we stopped, 26th shloka. Na buddhi bhedam janayed yed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. The wise can understand, they can walk the middle path. You should not go and say you are fool or you are thinking wrong or you're following. Imagine going and telling somebody you are following a false god and you are going to suffer because of it. Will that person help you? Will that person be happy? He's going to jump at you and attack you only because that everybody has some belief. And whether it's good belief or wrong belief, it is a belief and everybody functions according to their belief. If you try to trigger their belief and you are going to touch on a, what we can say, raw spot, and you're never going to be able to do a good work. Instead of that, Krishna is telling very clearly, do your work. What is your work? You don't have selfish desires. You want to do something. What is the greater good? You're understanding that. How will you understand it? Only when you are not selfish. Only when you are not having desires. Otherwise, what is going to happen? Your desires will determine what is the greater good for everybody. You will start planning for this is good for the world, this is good for that person, this is good for that person. Can we become judgmental and decide for the entire universe? Is it possible? No. Our mindset is we have to just recognize our limitations, and best way is to take one step back. So allow the higher will to work through us. And let us go on now. Krishna goes to let us go to the 27th shloka. Krishna says this is the way. He says, Prakrute kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. All types of actions originated from nature's qualities and their interactions. Means this karma it's a flux of karma which is taking place. If you look into nature only, you can see that, isn't it? Plants and animals and birds. If you just get a pond also and you just get small fishes, you just watch how they are moving, and you'll see an entire ecosystem taking place. Who is teaching them what needs to be done? Look at the birds, look at the animals, who is teaching them? And that is something. Prakriti has established a code of life into every living being. It's ingrained by Prakriti. Krishna is calling it like gunas. These are the gunas, and everybody is functioning according to these gunas. Meaning somehow we are already like semi-robots. We don't know. Gunas are controlling us. We are functioning according to these gunas. Who has put these gunas into us? We don't know. Prakriti only has put it. But the ignorant one, ahankara vimudhatma. Krishna is saying such a person who is a fool, who does not understand. He says very strong word. He says mudhatma. That person is absolute fool. The ignorant one, who is by his ego deluded, thinks his outer self performs all actions. Because of ahankara, I am doing everything. I am only responsible for everything. Nobody else in the world is responsible other than me. That is the feeling. This is the root cause of what we can say. It is again a part of nature only that makes people feel, but they are unconscious that things are happening through them. Imagine one person who is a very good engineer, but he decides that I am only the prime mover of this entire industry. I am running everything because I am so smart. Can one person run an entire organization or industry only by himself? No. Maybe he might have the vision, he might have the direction, all of it. But execution, one person cannot do. He has so many other people. Everybody, it's like a linkage. Each person is connected. You pull out one and the system will fall apart if the important linkages are removed. Something like that. But because of ego, a person begins to feel I am doing everything and doesn't understand there are factors which are extraneous. External factors are at play. Look at the world. We were all so powerful once upon a time, I would say, before COVID era. Mankind was in control of everything is what man thought. The biggest, right when COVID struck, there was a world's biggest expo that was being planned. So many countries were planning everything. Not once did they think that such an event would take place because we had already advanced. It was in the olden days where medical advancements were not there that people would have pandemics. Now we are far too advanced was the thought across the world. Suddenly that ahankar was broken by what? By one small organism, which people say is we don't know whether it is living or non-living. It is somewhere in limbo. Trishanku, like it is like that. So this aspect of ahankara, that I am the doer, this feeling should not come in is one lesson which we can take. But that is happening. Krishna is saying it's the game of Prakriti. A person who is fooled by that game begins to believe that, yes, I am the Alpha, I am the Omega, I am everything. Krishna goes on. Tattvavittu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjate. O mighty armed one, those who know the foundation of how nature's qualities through works function, know that senses attach to sense objects and are unperturbed and detached in all aspects. Meaning, a person, Arjuna is being told, who is conscious, who is aware, and who has got a strong foundation. He understands that this is the way of the Prakriti. Nature's qualities and works, they are linked together. The senses attached to sense objects. My eyes will get attached to some sweet dish. Then my tongue will start watering. So what will I do? If I go running after it, that means I have become a slave. But if I have a stronger foundation, what will I say? I will tell my senses, yes, this is natural. If like for instance, if I am taking class right now, somebody has lemon or imli and you start taking it while the class is going on, my tongue is going to water. So I will feel like eating that. Unless I have good control. If somebody wants to check, you can try. But this is the nature Krishna is saying of how Prakriti is attaching Indriyas attached to objects of Indriyas. This is understood by the wise, so they don't get carried away. So they are not deviated at all. If they are doing sadhana, they will do their sadhana perfectly. Nobody can make that sadhana bhanga. Even if the Ishwar wishes, the Ishwar cannot disturb the sadhana of a person. The Ishwar will never disturb, but That is a Dhruda Nishta of a person who is having a good foundation. He does not get disturbed easily and he's got a balance on the inside. Krishna goes on. Prakrutir guna sammudhaha sajjante guna karmasu tana kritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. These qualities of nature bewilder the ignorant who wish not to forego attachment at any instant. But somebody who is in the level of the Indriyas only or always thinking of desires only will not try to go one step higher because he's happy or she is happy in that desires only. And they get bewildered with anything which goes beyond desires. That does not touch them or they do not get connected with that at all. Why? Because at any instant they do not wish to forego attachment. He who knows should from disturbing them abstain, and from altering their mental state he should refrain. Another advice Krishna has given to Arjuna. Meaning, don't go and try to alter anybody's mental state. This is something very important. Even psychologists tell the same thing. So somebody who is having attachments, don't go and say, because Gita has taught us now, let us start telling your friends. No, see, don't have attachment. You are a Mudatma. All these questions you start saying, quoting Krishna. Krishna has told you are a Mudatma. What's going to happen? Will it transform that person? No. It might actually destroy the friendship only. That person will run away, maybe more away from the truth than you intend also. Because Guna and karma, that person is more connected only with his own attachment and his actions. Krishna is saying, refrain from disturbing them and don't try to alter their mental state. Now, this is something which psychologists also tell. Don't try to go and break somebody's way of thinking. If that person is neurotic, that person will cause harm to himself because you disturb this person completely. When a person wants to learn, the person can learn even without your telling, just by observing you when you do certain things. But when you go and say, no, don't do like this, I know what is better. Many times people think as friends also, I have to go and it is my God-given right. God has given us so many other rights also which we don't fulfill. This thing only we take it up as like it is my duty. No. If somebody does not, if it's hurting the person, it comes in way of your duty that this needs to be done, do it. Scold your friend, speak the truth, tell your friend directly, I will never speak to you again, and walk on the opposite path if it is your dharma. That is not what Krishna is talking about. But otherwise, it's like it's not your job to go and ask people to change, just change this, change that, as if we are perfect on ourselves. Instead, let us focus on ourselves, because this is what the great, even if you say Kabir also had told the same thing. Bura jo dekhan main chala, bura na milya koi. Jo dil khoja apna, mujhsa bura na koi. Now, why was Kabir Das a bad man? What did he see inside of him? Or all the people, were they greater saints than him? No. He is trying to purify himself and become a better and evolved conscious being. That way you can actually impact greater changes also. Until you bring that change inside of yourself, just saying will have no effect also. That's what Krishna is saying. Like we said, psychologists told one thing about neurotic. There's one more case called psychotic. That is more dangerous. Neurotic person will hurt himself or herself, will feel sad, maybe shed some tears, sit alone. Psychotic person will come and attack the person who is trying to change, and like whoever is the outer person who is attacking, they will go. They will just, that is a tendency. I know of one neighbor was there, a psychiatrist. His patient came and he broke his car, put petrol onto the car and was about to light it on fire, because that patient had that tendency. He didn't like what the doctor told him. Well, whatever it is, Krishna has told something here. This is understand and observe. Observe the nature, because later on this will become an important part of the Gita. This might actually become a very important part in the last chapters of the Gita. How the nature is functioning. Observe the nature work inside of you. Understand how it is, how am I reacting? Somebody on the road comes and says, you are a fool. Am I getting frustrated? Am I having palpitation, or am I running after that person? Or I'm understanding, yes, this person is not very sensible. I don't need to become like him by reacting to what has been told to me. So this aspect is there, and one need not go and explain to anybody also. Krishna goes on further. Now he talks about something. He says, Mai sarvani karmani Sanyasya chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigatajvaraha. Consecrating your actions to me, Krishna is saying, consecrate your actions to the divine. Offer your actions, offer your karma, as Adi Shankaracharya's beautiful words. Yad yad karma karomi tadakhilam Shambho tavaradhanam. My every karma is my aradhana to you, O Shambho, is what the great Shankaracharya had talked about. Like that, Krishna is saying, consecrate your actions to me. Meditate upon yourself. That is a part of me. Didn't we see that in the second Adhyaya? Krishna told that inside all of us there is one divine. Try to connect with that divine. Why not try to connect if that divine is inside of us? Where are we going to go and searching for across the world when we just have to turn inside and try to connect? That is probably what our aim should be when we are meditating, when we become quiet and silent. Let us go in, Krishna is saying. Without holding on to desires or prestige, Krishna is telling Arjuna the way of Karma Yoga only now. He's saying, forget your prestige, forget your name, forget your desires. Yes, you want good for your children. That's true. You want good for everybody. All that is fine. But when you are doing your karma, you have to focus on that. Krishna is saying, without holding on to desires or prestige, without grief or remorse, ready your weapons to lay siege. Pick that up. Pick the Gandhi Dhanusha again. Arjuna, rise is what Krishna is saying. Forget your prestige, forget your desires. Just focus right now. Focus on the divine and that divine which is a part of you. If there is a doctor now, a doctor really loves her children. Should she be thinking about her children while she's operating? Because she loves them. Yes or no? It's of no use, isn't it? That would become a problem only in her operation, her way of duty. So what does she have to do? She has to forget. He has to forget all other relations while the karma is being done. That is exactly what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Forget your prestige, forget your desires. Yes, human beings will have desires, all right. But while they are doing karma, what's the use? If I want to have Bhelpuri, can I think of Bhelpuri right now while the Gita Varg is going on? Or I can just focus on the Gita Varg and maybe afterwards I can have what I want. Because if my mind goes elsewhere, what's the use? What's the use of Krishna is just telling the same thing. He rise, O warrior, pick up your weapons, become firm again. Krishna goes on. He says, ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha Shraddhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karma bhihi. This is a beautiful shloka. Again, for the first time, I think we have been introduced with the concept of Shraddha. Krishna is talking about those Shraddhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karma bhihi. Those amongst, we'll look at it in a moment, those amongst men who thus regularly perform and to my instructions they dutifully conform with the purest and blemishless devotion. From karma's bondage they attain redemption. Meaning a person who does his or her karma with full shraddha will get the redemption, will get the moksha. Esha moksha. This is only moksha. Having pure shraddha and doing your karma. How simple is that? But the biggest question is, what is shraddha? Shraddha can be translated into faith, but it's still not a perfect translation. It can be translated to devotion, still not a perfect one. It can be translated to love. Yes, closer, but still, what is it? Well, Shraddha is Shraddha only, is what Sri Aurobindo also had told. He has a beautiful vocabulary in English. He's written the best essays, but he says Shraddha, there is no word which can be used to equate Shraddha in Sanskrit. Shraddha is something which is transcending everything. But the problem is, can you insert Shraddha into somebody? Yes? We cannot, isn't it? I cannot put Shraddha into anyone. It has to. It is like a fountain is there inside everybody, but that fountain is blocked with some pebbles or some rocks. You remove that, then that fountain will suddenly, it is like Swayambhu. It will, but until a person gets that realization, Shraddha will not come. And there's nothing called Andhashraddha. Superstition is something, but Shraddha cannot become blind. My mother is a Shraddha of mine. It has come from my experience. This will not change. Even if Sakshat Yogeshwar Shri Krishna comes in front of me and says, "This is not your mother," I'll say, "No, I have experienced. Whatever you say, I'll believe except this. This I will not, because she is my mother." Somebody produces a DNA certificate and says, "This is not the truth. See, I'm showing you real DNA certificate." I said, whoever else, that mother also, I'll do namaskar. Maybe somebody else may be there. But in my life, for me, my experience is this. Like that Shraddha comes from probably experience. Shraddha is something which has to be got, and experience comes only from experience, isn't it? I cannot tell you if I eat a beautiful mango and tell you it is very sweet and very tasty. Can you get that experience? No, you cannot get that experience looking. You will have to take it for yourself. Krishna is but talking the importance right now. He's told Shraddha is there with full devotion, full Shraddha. Somebody who is able to do his actions, that person can get liberation. One small short story I can just tell you about Shraddha, where there was a ship and the ship was sinking. There was a small boy. His father said, "Don't worry, I'll help you. I'll save you. Just go and stand in this particular corner. I'll try to find a way." So the father goes trying to help and get the help for the child. Everybody's running left, right, left, right. The captain he does his work trying to rescue as many people. And that time he sees that boy standing in that corner and he suddenly goes running to him. "Why, child, why are you standing there?" He just looks at him quietly. "Are you not afraid? The ship is sinking." "I know the ship is sinking. But why are you standing? Why are you not afraid? My father will come." He has that full Shraddha, my father is going to come. That's all. That is enough for him. And surely because of his instruction of his father, this child didn't go on the wrong side. So many adults who were already disturbed and panicking in their emotions, they went and wrong side, they could not be saved. But his boy was in the right place and he could be saved. But what we can see here is that is the power of Shraddha, where he has full confidence. My father has told me there is 100% reason. This is his experience, which it has not come. It cannot become like the same standard for everyone or everywhere. For one person, that Shraddha must come. It's like Yudhishthir also will speak the truth. That was there. That was a Shraddha. That was the Shraddha of everyone. Like that, because continuously, but there is something which is highest Shraddha towards the divine, Shraddha for the divine, which is very difficult to cultivate. It has to come inside of the individual. There are different ways why it comes in people. Sometimes people are born with it only. Purva Janma Sanskar, we can call it. Yes, Dineshji wants to raise a question. I hope it's not about Yudhishthir, but yes, please. Any question is welcome. Yes, Steve.
Yeah, so you told that nothing such as Andhashraddha exists. People misuse
Is God misusing it or is it people, Dineshji?
People.
People, isn't it? This is a nature of human beings to twist and do things which are in a wrong way. We can call it ignorance, isn't it? Ignorance would be the right word rather than calling it Andhashraddha, because Andhashraddha is very nicely used for one particular dharma only. All other dharmas, Andhashraddha is not used many
Yes,
times,
that's
isn't
right.
it? Because this dharma doesn't get irritated if this has been told. We can call it ignorance. Whatever people do in the name, sometimes this must be done, that we can call it ignorance, but that is not Andhashraddha, because Shraddha is a very pure word which is incorruptible. It is immaculate in the true sense. Yes. And this connection with the divine, it's an individual connection, which probably we should establish, because Krishna says that gives the highest liberation. As we were saying, some children are born with that Shraddha. They don't have to be taught pray. From childhood, they'll say, "Oh, see this beautiful creator. I know my mummy and papa did not create this universe. Somebody must have created." So they do a direct namaskar without being taught. Sometimes some people get a sakshatkar of something. Suddenly they get a sakshatkar, and then that is one more way why Shraddha is cultivated. Some people use tarka because their mind is very sharp in understanding. They use logic and understand. Some people are in a very difficult situation. They seek some experience, and then when they are saved, they say, "Okay, that's it." I know of a friend who wanted to go badly on a date. That's all he wanted, and he prayed for that. Whatever happens, just give me a chance. I want to go for a coffee date. That's all with this person. That got fulfilled, and from then on, his Shraddha to the divine became very strong. Whether or not he went ahead with that person was a different story. He never met that person again after that date. And that date went very bad. But he was like, see, my small prayer that I had made, this small prayer got fulfilled. What is this? My Shraddha has now grown 500 times. Now it will not change. I'll not waste my prayers also anymore. Now, just this is different ways how Shraddha is cultivated by. It's not cultivated artificially. It is something which comes. One must seek. If you see, the seeking should not stop. One day it will come, and the day you get it, you have got the greatest treasure in the world. It is something which is, there's nothing more valuable than that. Let us continue. Krishna goes on. He says, Ye tva etat abhyasuyanto nanutiष्ठन्ति me matam sarvajnana vimudhanstan vidhi nashtana chetasaha. Those who lack the conviction and regard and my instructions, they bluntly disregard. From all knowledge, they are by ignorance deluded. From growth in consciousness, they are excluded. Krishna is saying some very harsh words. He's saying those who don't have the conviction, they don't have the regard, they are just blatantly not following the instructions that I am talking about. They are going to dwell in ignorance, Krishna is saying. From all knowledge, they are going to be deluded. From wisdom, realization will not come to them, is what Krishna is saying. And from a chance of growing in consciousness, they are excluded. Just a few moments ago, we were saying Sanatana Dharma is different. Now, is Krishna cursing anybody who is not listening to him? You didn't listen to me, so I am cursing you. Is this that tarka we can say by logic? Or is it something else? Anybody? If you wish to, you can unmute. Yes, please. Is Krishna cursing here? You follow me or
No,
you will suffer? Yes, Dinesh ji.
He is
Sir,
not
it happens
really
by
he is
Okay,
just,
Dinesh ji and then Madhavi ji. Yes, Dinesh ji.
so he is just saying the consequence of not abiding by this advice. So he's showing the consequence.
Okay. So, okay, Dinesh ji is saying it is not a curse by Krishna. All right, Madhavi ji and then Badrinaran ji. Yes, Madhavi ji.
it's the same thing, sir. It's a
Same thing.
you can do this.
Okay. Okay, all right. Badrinaran ji wants to add something? Ji, sir.
Yeah, it is just, it's not a curse, but in the process of instructing Arjuna, he is trying to guide him, and at the same time, this also we should follow.
Yes. Okay.
It's a
Okay. Yes.
guidance.
Okay, sir. All right. All right. So now this is actually quite what we can say a simple law of consequence, where one action is done, action's consequence. It's like beta padhai nahi karoge to fail ho jaoge. This is not a curse of the teacher, isn't it? You don't study, you will not clear the exam because you've never studied. Something like that. If you are not going to rise beyond your desires, you're also not going to rise in consciousness. Krishna is saying you'll not be able to grow in life. You will not be able to access a higher wisdom, which is there for everybody. So this is not a curse. It's just one thing interesting about the Gita is Krishna doesn't give direct orders in the Gita. He everywhere, he doesn't say, you must do it because I have told. You will have a laugh in the 18th Adhyaya, what he says. After so many chapters, we feel he will tell, finally, I'm now giving you instruction. No, even in 18th chapter, he doesn't give that order. Let us continue. Krishna goes on. Sadrusham cheshtate swasyaha prakrute jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Even the knowledgeable one, even the knowledgeable person always in life acts and as per one's own nature when he interacts. When all living creatures are by their natures bound, in its suppression, what truth can be found? Krishna is now telling something interesting. He's talking about control of self, control of desires. Another place he says, suppressing your desires also will not help you completely. what is the meaning is, he's telling we have to transcend the desires, but each of us must understand that we all have a svabhava. I think somebody had asked one person, why is this Durvasa like this? Durvasa Rishi was different, Narad Rishi was different, Kapila Muni was different, each Rishi was different. Some of the Rishis were what, angry Rishis. You can say, go, don't stay away from Durvasa, anytime he will curse you. Some people would actually run away from him because he had that reputation. Now, we can say each person has their own swabhava. There was one friend of mine who was very good in kabaddi and shot put. If you ask him to go and play chess, he'll break that chessboard. Because that is his nature. He's not having that nature of working there. So sports period, he would do all those types of works which will actually connect with him. He would, maybe ideal would be when he can play both these games at the same intensity. But everybody has their nature. Krishna is saying, even the wise person in life, how does he act? Everybody acts according to their overall swabhava, as per one's own nature when he interacts. So when every living creature is bound by their nature, where is the truth in rigid suppression of your own inner nature? Krishna is saying, don't suppress your inner nature. Understand desires take you away, but don't be harsh. Many times people become too harsh on themselves. Now, if you are only harsh on yourself, who else is going to be nice to you? At least be truthful to yourself. Understand. That is one very important aspect Krishna is talking about. That there is no truth in the suppression. Otherwise, people, yogis, do big sadhana for several years and still they remain empty. There's a beautiful story of, if you see in Jnaneshwar Maharaj's his life, there was Muktabai, the youngest sister whose name only was Mukta because she was free and liberated. One big yogi supposedly has done so much tapasya for several years. He comes to her and she suddenly identifies his faultness and says, Sangya koracha kora raila. You were empty only after several hundreds of years of sadhana. You are still empty, you have still not got it because somewhere suppression was there. Unless your suppression is removed, you will not. But that's a very thin line. How do you understand? Again, let us go to the next shloka. Krishna goes on. Indriyai sindriyasyarthe raga dveshau vyavasthitau tayorna vashamagachetau yasya paripanthinau. Likes and dislikes arise out of the senses. Their emergence one cannot avoid. Meaning likes and dislikes are natural. We are human beings, we'll have our likes, we'll have our dislikes. Each person will have their own taste. Something like that. Likes and dislikes rise out of the senses and their emergence one cannot avoid. But one must not fall prey to their pretenses, else progress on the spirit's path is destroyed. If you get carried away by your like and dislike, then that is a problem. Then you cannot have adhyatmic growth. Sadhana will not take place because you are allowing your likes and dislikes to govern your life. Just because of your preference of choice or desire, can we define our entire life? No, we cannot do that. Best example I can think of is my own sister only. Younger sister, she disliked curd so much that it would create frustration for her. She would get irritated. That would give me a lot of happiness. As a younger brother, it was my duty to trouble my younger sister. So every time she would eat curd, she would not have curd. I would purposely keep my curd vessel very close to her and watch the change of her face. All this was fine in childhood. She finished her education, she went to college, she went to work, but somehow she still carried her preference of liking and dislike. Her dislike for curd remained. She had come to my place to meet Guruji also. That time, Guruji, first thing he did was he put a little bit of butter into her mouth, freshly churned butter. Now, butter is like the brother of curd only for her. And immediately her reaction, she felt very disturbed. But that was also fine. Another moment, but she somehow did not express it. But when she was given Panchamrita, now Panchamrita is supposedly a very beautiful, auspicious thing. But there is one more ingredient called curd, and she knew that because of her hatred, when she had Panchamrita into her mouth, she made a very horrible face, which Guruji also noticed. And he didn't tell anything to her. But she felt so ashamed of it. She said, see, look at me. I have I have got this with such love, and look at me, I am having such a strong rejection that I couldn't receive the love of the person in front. That means this is wrong. I need to now overcome this. And she started working slowly. Every meal she would eat little bit curd, slowly increasing the quantity. Now it has come to the point where unfortunately I have to share with her, because she has now completely overcome her personal dislike. Meaning we can have dislike also, but we should not become hate or dvesha. That creates a problem that prevents any type of growth. A mother and her daughter had a big argument, so much that it was coming in between the relationship, just because mother is vegetarian, daughter is non-vegetarian. And she was hating that too much, to the point that there was a big, what we can say, divide. So she was actually in tears asking, what should I do in this situation? Do I have to eat? You don't have to change your nature. You have your likes, you have your dislikes. You are having a good will for your child to not have it is also good. All that is fine. But will you lose your child because of your dislike? Because her husband and the child had formed a team. Both of them were troubling her, and she was having so much hatred that she would not come near them also, and she would treat. I said, this is a food for that person. That is a shraddha of that person, that this is food for me. For you, it may not be something you like. Just stop having that hatred. Maybe one day you want to burst the bubble, say, I will make for you, or I'll bring for you from outside if you don't want to cook. It's okay. Don't touch it. Don't eat it. It's a good thing you don't want to eat for you. That's all fine. But don't have the hatred over that person. And really, one interesting thing happened. 1 year down the line, her own daughter became vegetarian. She didn't have to tell her anything. It's a personal choice. Food choices are absolutely individual shraddha, but we cannot have dislike. Shivaji wants to share something or ask something. Yes, please. Yes, sir.
What if we have a dislike for a person? We have to deal with him on a day-to-day basis. So
you have to be from them, means this is a karma bandhana, or it's a, what is the...
like we work for the same organization and we are part of a committee.
Na buddhi vedam, then you must follow Krishna's shloka. Don't create a divide. You work on the minimal, what we can say, common minimal program, something like that. This work, we will...
So we hide our dislike and deal with him, or is it kind of separate thing?
No, you can, if that dislike is coming in between work, you have to show if it is coming in between work and affecting the work. Then you can express this is coming in between the work, but respectfully disagree or agree to disagree, or at least that much point you can go to that state. But our job is not to transform the person. You can, the moment work is over, you can, if that person even says hi, you can say, I don't know you. In workplace, I know you. Now here is my place. Let me be alone. Something like that. Yes, sir. Ji. Hari Om. Hari. Yes. Let us continue. Krishna says, so this spiritual progress cannot happen if you are trapped by your own likes and dislikes. He goes on further. He says, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushthitat swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. So important and so powerful Krishna's words here. He says, even death coming, following your dharma is better than completely losing sight of your swadharma. Meaning, what is a swadharma? Your dharma towards yourself, what you understand. That's an inner calling. You don't need to study a shastra to understand what swadharma is. What goes against your very essence. Hold on to that essence, just come to you from the beginning. You have that knowledge. Krishna says, working for oneself, even though faultily, is much better. Meaning you're serving, you're following a swadharma. Maybe you may not be doing a great, grand work also. It might be a smaller work, maybe having some faults. It's okay, Krishna is saying, than to serve perfectly under someone else's fetter. Meaning it is better than becoming a slave for somebody else, some other organization, which is absolutely against your inner will. Even if death comes while performing one's natural duty, it is better than serving others, which is a perilous vulnerability. Now, this is a big vulnerability, is what Krishna is saying. Paradharmo bhayavaha. Meaning, going against your dharma, this is the greatest danger, is what Krishna is saying. Means we must understand what is our swadharma first. Dineshji wants to ask something. All right, Dineshji. Yes, please.
Yeah, so from the previous shloka, uh, I mean, if someone is, we feel that someone is not doing the right thing, and we should go and tell. Then what should we do
No, we
actually?
should not, unless that person comes like Arjuna and says, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. He says, he asks you, please guide me. Tell me what is wrong. Tell me what I am doing wrong. There are many people who come and say, tell if I am doing any wrong. They don't want to hear also. Means that you must understand the bhava. Means not just the word, because sometimes people play the tricks also. Very clever people are there in the world. The person wants to change. Really, does the person want to hear from you and change? You just, if you want an experiment also, you try going and telling somebody without their asking. You will get a very weird reaction, most unexpected also, because nobody wants to hear something from anyone else to change or anything like that, unless they consider you in their Shraddha Sthana, they give you that authority to speak. Otherwise, it's of no use. Yes,
Okay.
Dinesh. Hari Om. So this aspect, paradharmo bhayavaha. One example of one participant had shared. It was just before Corona time. It was about just that time. The participant was from USA. She was talking about a very close friend of hers. That young lady was doing a job, a decent job, earning money, sending money back to her parents. They were not very well off, so they wanted the money, whatever she is earning. But there was a problem. The boss in her organization was taking wrong advantage of her. This was something she was not liking, and this other friend came to know because she saw puffy eyes and she saw something. Her in the last 6-7 months, I'm seeing a complete change. And then she had a discussion, and she said, "Tell this to your parents." So when this girl told her parents, they didn't care. Parents forgot their dharma only. You have to send money. We want that money to come. We need it. Meaning this lady is working hard, sending everything home, and still they are not caring anything more than what money comes to her. And she was saying, what should I do? I am not able to understand. And every day was troubling her. It was carrying on like what we can say, a nightmare. And there was actually a very big discussion. We were trying to understand what was the option. But it was a point where finally she said, no, this is going against Swadharma. It cannot continue forever. This will actually destroy her personality completely. She must take a stand. She took a stance. She had to leave the job because of that. No, unfortunately, she had to leave the job. And due to the corona time, she didn't get another job. She came back to India. Her parents told her, you don't belong here anymore. They did not take her back in the house also. Then she went to some place. She got a job, a temporary job in a call center, started saving money. So she goes back. But she said to her that this is the greatest freedom I have experienced in life. I'm so much happier right now that I'm not under a compulsion where somebody else was completely utilizing me and spoiling me. Or another person talked about how for 17 years, the person was going against Swadharma only. What that person wanted to work in the service sector, but was working in another sector. 17 years she was debating whether I should leave this sector and follow my inner calling. And when she did take that inner calling, she followed. That was the freest moment. She said, I got the most peaceful sleep that night when I took that decision. So there is something called Swadharma. What is along with going according to your inner calling? Identify that is what Krishna is saying, because going against it will not help you progress anyway. Let us go on. But Arjuna has an immediate question for Krishna when he has talked about it. He says, desires like follow your inner voice. Immediately, Arjuna asks this question. I would just ask you to just look at this question and tell me what do you think of it. Arjuna Uvacha. Adha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Arjuna asked, So what is it? So what is it that provokes man to sin and act against his will, thus against his own kin? From where does this force arise to rebel? O descendant of Vrishni, please tell. You're talking about following inner voice, following nature, all this. Okay, But then why is one person do? See, people do sin, isn't it? Then are they doing sin because they are following nature, inner voice? Or where does this energy come? How do they go? How do they work so badly? How are people like Duryodhana born? Or how are they doing such actions of trying to kill others? What do you think of Arjuna's question? Anybody? Yes? Arjuna's question, is it a rational one? Is it a logical one? Or is it a teasing one? Yes, Dineshji.
I think that he has just overcome the state of anxiety and is starting to ask meaningful questions.
It's a meaningful question, Dineshji is saying. Yes, anybody agrees to what Dineshji is saying? Yes? You can please unmute if you wish to. At the moment, you can unmute. That option is on.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
Badrinath.
Yes,
This
yes.
is because of attachment that he is still trying to ask such questions. That means he's still going back. Why should I create this sin? Why should I kill my own kin?
Yes,
like
because
something.
Krishna is not talking about sin. Arjuna is still thinking about sin only. But if you see,
That
the
means still
mind
he's
is
going back.
working in such a way, it is a, what we can say, it is more of a skeptical question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is not a seeker's question. A sadhak's questions are different. A question of a sadhak will take one person, but here Arjuna is also asking with a sincerity, means he is having a little doubt. He has not overcome his doubt completely. So he is asking a question where he is having some skepticism inside, which is allowed in Sanatan Dharma. Look at Swami Vivekananda. He was having the same question when he was young. He was like, Agar tum ho, to ye kyun hai? He was almost atheistic only in the starting stage until he got his realization from his guru. He was doubting, what is this? Why is all of this? Why is this sin in the world? It's a very simple and straightforward question. We must probably acknowledge Arjuna for daring to ask it with all the sincerity and asking it for us also, because of his question, we'll hear Krishna's answer. Let us see. Shri Bhagavan Uvach. Why does person sin? Why do people in the world do such wrong things? Where do they get that energy to do such things? Let us continue. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhavaha, mahashano, mahapapma, vidhyena miha vairinam. Krishna answered, it is desire and its furious sibling anger, born from the quality rajas. They are related to one another. All ensnaring and all polluting, they cause life to go in vain. These are the two greatest enemies that ought to be slain. So why do people sin? Just two reasons Krishna is saying. Desire and anger, both are brothers. They come together only. When there is desire, and along with desire, anger comes in. Because desire does not get fulfilled, that creates anger. Both are born out of the quality called rajas. So far, Krishna has told about gunas. Gunas are like operating systems which are functioning. There are three gunas which has been introduced to us. Names have not been told. Today, first one guna has been introduced. We have been told about Rajas guna. Rajas guna causes, because of this operating system, we are having these viruses of kama and krodha inside of our system. This is the reason why people do wrong. These come in a minute, in a moment, and they destroy life completely. Desire and anger. These are the two greatest enemies that have to be slain. If you are looking to destroy any enemy, first destroy these two enemies. They are the, what we can say, they are what we can say, perennial enemies. We have to slay them. We'll keep attacking, you have to be ready. It's like a border which India shares with Pakistan. We have to be always alert. Something like that. Let us continue. Dhume na vriyate vanhir. Yatha darsho malena cha. Yatholvena vruto garbha. Tatha tena damavrutam. Just as fire is masked by smoke and dust, or like the embryo sheath within the amniotic crust. It's a poetic. Krishna is using Garbha, and people feel this knowledge of Garbha was not there to Sanatan Dharma. Krishna is using it just like an ordinary example, a simile which he is using. He's saying, just as fire, look at fire. Sometimes the fire, which is so brilliant and bright, it is masked by what? Smoke, its own dust. Sometimes firefighters have a very difficult time dousing the fire because they're not able to gauge how big that fire is because of smoke, because of dust. So just like how even the brilliant fire is covered by smoke and dust, or just like how the garbha is inside of this amniotic crust, we cannot see a pregnant mother. We will not be able to see the garbha on the inside. Maybe one person can see the lakshana of pregnancy, yes. But can you see? No, it is hidden inside. Just like that, in this manner, similar and precise, knowledge is hidden by an outer disguise. So the knowledge also is getting covered by the enemy. Which is the enemy? It is the enemy of Kama and Krodha, both of these. Avrittam jnanametena jnanino nitya kamarupena kaunteya dushpurena nalenacha. Knowledge is covered by this perennial enemy, even in the cases of the knowledgeable many. O Arjuna, such is desire's lustful form, which rages like a quenchless firestorm. This is from the ancient times. It's not breaking news. It is there from the beginning in human nature. The brilliance, whatever a person has, that is lost. That knowledge is just hidden by this enemy. Even the wise people sometimes fall. Even the wise people fall from grace. Very recently, we came across in a very big institute. The director of that institute who was supposedly in charge of all the security informations, was honey trapped. And he had actually attended a program, how to prevent oneself from getting trapped. And he's fallen from grace. It is so bad. This such a fall, it is a worst fall. How can he rise up again after this fall? It is something like that. Such a wise person, such a knowledgeable person also. What happens? Krishna is saying this is the nature of desire. Desire is like that form. It is a lustful form which is raging like an inferno only. It is not going to be quenched. One desire will lead to another desire to lead to another. It just goes on and on. Sometimes we hold on to one desire thinking it will give us satisfaction. After a while, that satisfaction stops coming from that desire. Then we have to probably search for another desire to fulfill this emptiness which has come. And that just a person is trapped in a cycle when a person is unable to come out of it. And there's never peace. Krishna goes on. He says, Indriyani mano buddhir asya muchyate etair vimohayatyesha jnanamavritya dehinam. It is said, if senses occupy the governing seat, the mind and the intellect, desires can cheat. Knowledge is bewildered by the sensual stimulants, and hoodwinked become the two instruments. So Krishna is saying, if you allow the indriyas to be your driver, your senses to drive you, then your mana and buddhi both will be cheated easily by the desires. And wisdom also is lost because these sensual stimulants are easily covering up the individual. It is so simple as that. Don't allow your indriyas to take control. Yes, how much of our truth is there? Most of the times when we take emotional decisions, they are 90% of the time wrong only. Because that time our thinking mind, Vivek Buddhi, is not working. It is governed by the emotion. So whenever you are emotional, make it a point not to take a decision immediately in the fit of emotion. Just try to delay that emotion if it is possible, of course. Certain things you have to immediately respond. You have to, again, that time also control, understand what's your dharma and do your work. But just driven by your emotions, it cannot happen, because no matter how great buddhi you have, how wonderful mind you are having, it's going to be cheated. Imagine going for a presentation. You've been invited for a seminar. Excuse me. You have been invited for a seminar. You have prepared very well. You've got wonderful content to share. It is something very niche. You have prepared the best slides. You have taken a cloud backup also. You have taken your pen drive also. Everything is ready. Only your driver is a foolish driver. You have given instruction to go north. He travels south. What will happen? What is the use of your knowledge? Is it going to be of any use if you cannot reach the venue where you have to use it? It's going to get wasted no matter all the preparations that you have done. And what can you say? Can you say, I had a foolish driver? Will anybody excuse you? You've gone all the way to that place. You've traveled so far. Everything is right. You might have even chosen a venue, your hotel, very close to the venue of your seminar. But if you don't make it in time for the seminar, what's the use? Something like that, all the buddhi that you have, all the intelligence that you have, all the self-control, everything can be cheated just by your desires only if you are allowing your indriyas to drive you completely. It's like having a bad driver and you cannot complain afterwards because they will take you astray. That is why next shloka Krishna tells the biggest fight for Arjuna is this only, not Duryodhana, not to worry about Drona or Bhishma. This is the fight that you have to fight, which is on the inside. Because if this fight is lost, battle is already lost. Arjuna was almost, he had lost the inner fight completely. Luckily, Krishna was there. He was able to take him out of it. Let us see what Krishna says. Tasmat tvam indriyani adau niyamya bharatarshabha papmanam prajahihyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. Therefore, know this, O mighty seeker of light. Taming the senses is your first fight. Slay the forces that proliferate the sin. These destroyers of knowledge, conquer and win. Krishna is saying this is your first fight. First fight is to tame the senses. These are the proliferators of sin, because if you are not able to tame your senses, all the papa which Arjuna was making so many calculations and telling this is Mitra Droha, this is Kulakshaya, this is destruction of Jati Dharma, this is destruction of Sanatan Dharma, all these calculations which he was doing. Well, there's no use doing all these calculations if your senses are controlling you. You are going to do something which is not going to be Dharma at all. You will not understand. So this is the fight that you have to take part. Two more shlokas. We'll quickly look at this shloka today, but it will need some more deliberation which we'll have tomorrow. Krishna goes on talking about the levels of senses. He says, Indriyani paranyahur indriyabhyaha param manaha manasustu parabuddhir yo buddhe paratastu saha. Beyond the senses that are supreme is the mind. Beyond the mind, the awakened intelligence you find. But beyond the awakened intelligence, it is thus said, it is He, the Eternal, the Supreme Godhead. Krishna is talking about the levels of consciousness. First, lowermost level is the level of the Indriyas, meaning our senses. Can we say we have all the senses are absolutely perfect that we have? No, isn't it? We know our senses are limited. Our senses are limited because of its own limitation. I can hear 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Below and above, infrasonic, ultrasonic is of no use for my ear because it's not capable. But it does not mean there is no sound which is not heard by me. There will be some sound which I am not going to understand. Same way, my eyes cannot see beyond the visible range. Feeling, I can feel and touch certain things. Cold, hot, I have my limitations. Too cold will still say the same thing as too hot for me. Or pain also, if you see, body has some limit beyond which it becomes numb. So each of these senses has a limit, meaning our entire operating way of functioning of the world is on a limited input only. We are processing that limited input. Depending on our processes, we have our perceptions, which we understand and we translate it into something. So in the very finite stage itself, we must recognize that yes, the senses are not everything. This we have understood because we go outside, we'll see a dog is having a better sense of smell. Much more than what we have. Eagle in the sky can see much better than our eyes. We know we are limited. So that is one thing. One is the level of the senses. But how do we control the senses? By the next level of consciousness, we can call mind. Mind allows us to control. Mind is the Raja of the Indriyas. Indriyas means senses. Mana is the Indra of the Indriyas, meaning With my mind, I can tell my senses no. If I get attracted, also my mind will say, no, don't go that direction. It's not required for you. So we can say mind is brilliant, mind is powerful, mind is supreme. But is this the great Raja, the Rajadipati of the entire universe? No, it has a limited span. The mind is a Raja of a finite kingdom only. Meaning by this default, mind is also limited. Our mind can travel across the world. We can say, well, thoughts, I can just think of this, I can think of that. Some people have brilliance of mind. They can do the best, they can solve the best theorems, they can get the best concepts. Still, mind has its own limitation beyond itself. What is there? There is some, I think, best example, if you can, has anybody, I'll just unmute. We'll have a maybe 4 more minutes we'll just need. Yes, I'll allow everybody to unmute if you wish to. Can anybody tell me any time you have had an experience which is beyond the mind? Anyone? Any? Yes? Anyone? They call it intuition also, something like that. Suddenly, did you get that feeling which is not according to the logic, because mind functions according to a logic which we understand. Something in life has happened anytime which is beyond your understanding or beyond your logic. Intuition, anybody has got some moment like that which you have to share? Yes, anyone?
Sometimes we don't know the situation to handle the situation.
Okay.
But when we leave it on to Krishna, the situation is handled so beautifully with simple things only. The problem.
But it comes from somewhere. No, the idea you don't know. Normally, you don't know. Logically, it is very difficult. By your own experience of nature, you feel it's very difficult. But suddenly, a thought comes from somewhere. Suddenly, an idea comes.
We don't know why we talk also, but the words come like that.
Okay. All right. So that is an experience of something which we can say higher than mind. We can say, all right. Anybody else has something which you wish to share?
Once I had taken a little amount of money thinking it should be okay. It was exactly the same amount which was billed for
required.
I was also quite like taken aback.
Was there some logic behind your taking Anuradhaji?
No,
no logic.
No logic.
Just took it without calculating.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is something. And these are glimpses from another world, from another state of consciousness, which is beyond the mind. The yogis were already in that state, so they had learned to go raise their consciousness. One example, I can just quickly think of 2 examples. We'll stop here because this shloka requires a bit of deliberation. One participant, she had a cafe. So that she would run a cafe. Every day after closing her, doing her job of the day, she would close the cafe, go home. So every day her routine was the same. She would just climb the stairs and she was on first floor and she would enter inside, start watching her favorite, some episode of some serial which she would watch regularly, some series. And every day while she was watching, her neighbor would go walking just past her. But one day, she suddenly felt because every time she saw her neighbor go up, it was a normal thing which happened every time. Suddenly she felt I should go and check on him. She got irritated because she was watching her favorite serial. She didn't want to get up and go and check on him. But this happened once. This thought came, go check on him. Go check on him. No exact word also. She just felt something was pricking. Let's go and check. Like, what should I check? He goes every day. I want to watch this. But that thought was disturbing her so much that she said, I'll not enjoy this serial properly. Let me at least go finish this and just see. So she goes outside and she finds that her neighbor has collapsed. And then she rushes to the hospital and then that person is taken. The doctor says, thank you for bringing him on time. She says, I am still scared if I did not go that day. If I had not gone, what would have happened? But she says, I still don't know what was the logic in the thing. How did it happen? Well, since we moved to the hospital, one doctor shared her experience. She was a junior resident. They were all trying to find a diagnosis. She was an anesthetist. She is an anesthetist. So that time that doctor was a junior resident and she was trying, they were all the senior doctors were unable to find the diagnosis. The problem is unless you get a diagnosis, you cannot start the line of treatment. And this was becoming very confusing. And what everybody was suggesting, and this thing, that thing, all tests were not giving any successful result. She suddenly felt that I should do this test. She went and told her senior. Senior immediately said, what is the use of that test in this condition? SOP does not. She said, yes. She also agreed. But still she was getting that thought. She said, if I go and again meet my senior, he'll get angry. She went to the technician and she said, Anna, please do this test for me. I'm requesting you. It's on me. Please do this test. By logic, by whatever observations, that test was not required. But somewhere she felt that this needs to be done, and then that test gave a result. Everybody appreciated her, including her senior. Ki, wow, wonderful, what have you done? She says, till now, I don't think I used some special logic. I just randomly felt, it was not out of my knowledge or intelligence. But I just got that feeling and I did it. Meaning this gut feeling, so many names people use. Gut feeling, inner voice, all these are different words to speak about a level which is higher than mind, which Krishna is calling buddhi. Indriyanam paranyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddhi, and then your buddhi paratastu saha. Higher than that buddhi is something. We will probably stop with this right now, because tomorrow we will Monday we will look at it on Monday, because this does require quite a lot of some time, at least 5 minutes to 10 minutes in deliberation, and that is beyond logic, beyond our intellect. I made a mistake once after studying Sri Aurobindo, because Sri Aurobindo has beautifully described the levels of consciousness. There is a mind, there's a higher mind, there's an illumined mind, there is an over mind, and then super mind. And what I did was, after reading, intellectually, mind works according to intellect only. I thought, let's write down what we understood. And I thought, let's even write it into a book, because I would write to a journal, and then they thought, why not make a nice, I made a 80 pages, I read it on these are the levels of mind, what is next level. Finally, after finishing those 80 pages, I decided best thing is click on delete button, because it is again not like one logic which I am giving a logic according to myself. This is level 1, this is level 2, but it's like a spectrum. This level, that level, what is there? We need to just understand right now what we have seen in the Gita. Krishna is beautifully told, first lowermost level of Indriyas. Nothing beyond senses is understood in that level. Then there is a level higher than Indriyas, which is the mind, which can connect to it. Today we saw a glimpse of what is that. It is buddhi, we can call it somewhere. But let us look at this tomorrow on Monday. There is an Upanishadic connection also with this. Isha Upanishad talks about that stages also of what is that. And in that level is what the Rishis would operate. That is why they had these, what we can say, people would say clairvoyance and all other abilities. With this, let us stop right now. And more interesting would be Arjuna's reaction, because Arjuna expected to, he thought he has put a googly on Krishna by asking this question, but Krishna has again hit it for a 6, and now Krishna is talking higher metaphysics. He's going to take one more step higher, where Krishna is going to say, I taught the Surya. We will see how Arjuna is going to react, because Arjuna still has a lot of doubts. So he doesn't really fully agree with everything Krishna has said as of now. So let us see. Next chapter is going to start with some very obnoxious Arjuna statements about Krishna. So let us conclude now with the Shanti Mantra. If anybody has any queries, you are most welcome. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyit dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Hari Om. Hari Om. So, if any queries are there, you're most welcome.
Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Namaste. Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Any queries? Most welcome.
Hari Om ji, you spoke about the obstacles to spirituality, where it's about the rajas and desires, the two siblings, which is anger and desire.
Yes.
Which is now where does we have also read about Maya being an obstacle. How do we connect this Maya with these desires, or is it the same thing?
We can see these are attributes of Maya. Kama and Krodha. It's like, yesterday, Badrinath ji only shared a very nice example. Two people are fighting over a property. Krishna is sitting and laughing. This is whose property of fighting over? It's mine only. It's not yours also. So they are trapped in that, what we can say, Prakriti's gunas. No, they are connected with the gunas. Maya operates through gunas.
Okay. So it's an illusion created by the desires.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, your last line, I missed it, sir. What did you say?
No, you say, it's an illusion created by the desires. Is that it?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay.
When dvesha comes inside because of hatred, we sometimes justify hatred under certain reasons by our logic. But it's actually, we are in that trap of hatred only.
Okay.
We are in that delusion. So kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhava. Anger and desire.
Okay.
Yes. Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hello.
Hari Om. Yes, yes. So can we conclude a session? Yes.
How is Raga Dvesha connected with anger and desire? What is the relation?
Kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhava is what Krishna is saying. Kama and krodha. Kama is desire. When desire does not get fulfilled, we get angry, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And
what is Raga Dvesha then?
Huh?
Raga Dvesha?
Raga means anger only. Dvesha is hatred. Dvesha means hatred. These are Sanskrit words for the same.
Yeah, yeah. Dvesha is hatred, but how is it linked to desire and anger and hatred? Is it a sequence?
In this shloka 37, Krishna says, Kama and Krodha are out of Rajas. Excessive Rajas also makes a person have Dvesha.
Acha, acha, acha. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
All right. We'll conclude this session if no queries are there.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.